started. Hello, my fellow Ebonites. Welcome back to my community. This is episode 3 of Excellence with Ebony, and I am happy to have an honorable guest with us here today. And we are going to talk about, of course, entrepreneurship, your path to entrepreneurship, your successes. And I have a guest here. His name is Jumanne Mtambalike. And I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us here today. We are all excited to have you here. I'm particularly excited because you specialize in a special part of the industry that I'm not as familiar with. So I know you can bring a lot of information and a lot of great tips and advice to my community. And a lot of people in my community are very, very interested in investing in Tanzania and being foreign business investors. So I want them to hear from you and your insights on where you think the future of Tanzania is first, and also just your journey and how you came to be where you are now. So I'll give you a couple minutes to introduce yourself and tell my community a little bit about your business and yourself.
Great. Thank you so much, Ebony. This is it's an exciting opportunity. I'm very humbled and honored to meet and engage with your community. As you introduced me, my name is Jumanne Mtambalike. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sahara Ventures. Sahara Ventures is a group of companies based in East Africa, in our home country, Tanzania, and our focus is to build a strong innovation and technology entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa. We have a startup accelerator, which does both corporate sponsored program and venture-backed program, supporting businesses to raise investment, mainly businesses that are youth and women-led. But also we have an event called Sahara Sparks, which is a marketplace for innovators, entrepreneurs, and tech enthusiasts to meet with investors, as well as to exchange strategic partnerships and collaboration between different people. And also we do a lot of work around innovation, tech, and entrepreneurship on the side of consulting. So basically that is Sahara Ventures. And our dream is to create a conducive environment where African youth and Tanzanian youth can be able to realize their dream through businesses that create impact as well as socioeconomic development.
Okay, so you touched on a couple of things that I want to kind of break down because you offer so much, and that's why I was so excited to have you on today. So let's break down the 2 categories. You have Sahara Sparks, right? And then you have Sahara Ventures as well. So can you give us an overview of the difference between the 2?
Brilliant. So Sahara Ventures is literally a group. It's a group of companies. And part of that group, we have this like 3-stage framework where we say, first we identify businesses, and then we mentor and accelerate the businesses, and then we promote so that they can get investment. So part of identifying, this is where you have our consulting wing. Part of mentoring and accelerating, this is where you have Sahara Accelerator, which is a physical space which offer investor readiness program. And part of our promoting is where you have Sahara Sparks now, which is a marketplace providing a platform for these innovators and entrepreneurs to access seed and growth stage investments. So if you bring together the consulting, the accelerating, and the promoting is where you get the group Sahara Ventures.
I see. Okay, so people can come to you with a business idea or a business venture, and then you help to vet them and decide, if this business is something that is feasible, or give them tips on how to make the business something that will be more attractive to investors, or they have counseling, a mentor that they can work with to get this business off the ground. And then from there, once they go through that phase, they can then hop over to the promotion side, where they can be in front of potential investors or sponsors that can help them get their business up and going and growing. Is that correct?
Very correct. And that is what we're trying to do, because we're doing multiple stuff because our ecosystem is also growing.
Yes.
Right now, there are other partners who really work with early stage business ideas. So we're kind of slowly running away from that and focusing on post revenue. but occasionally we also support people who are still at the idea stage.
Okay. And that's the part that's probably going to be really attractive to a lot of people in my community, because they're always looking for opportunities to not only start businesses, but opportunities to invest in businesses as well. I get people from both sides who are looking to come to Tanzania for business opportunities, and then people who are looking to invest, be either a silent investor or, be a part of a business that's already has some legs to it. So that's really exciting. So you have a lot of business knowledge. You're well connected within the business world. Can you tell us a little bit, let's backtrack a little bit. Tell us a little bit just about your personal journey, because I know, we're a Tanzania family. My husband's Tanzanian, so I'm very proud of it. And so we are very, yes. So we are very closely connected to Tanzania. We live both there and in the US. And we know some of the struggles of being an entrepreneur in Tanzania. It wasn't as popular 5-10 years ago. We know some of the challenges, but we also know the great rewards of being an entrepreneur in a country that is up and coming and all the opportunities. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. Like, okay, what's going to stick? What's not going to stick? Where are the actual where are the actual opportunities, and where do I start? So tell us a little bit about how you first got started in this industry and decided to become an entrepreneur.
Great. So first of all, it's a perfect time to be an entrepreneur, not only in Tanzania, but also in Africa. We are the youngest continent, and Tanzania is one of the youngest countries. Our median age is less than 20 years old. So you can imagine an average Tanzanian will be young, I think 20 years to come. They'll just be 40. We have among the fastest growing cities in the world. The city which I live in, Dar es Salaam, is expected to attain a mega city status by 2030, where you have more than 10 million people living in the city. There is increasing rise of the size of the middle class. Consumer spending power is also increasing. Retailers rate is also going up. So you're getting even smarter consumers, which means it's a very great time for people with great ideas, whether it's tech-related ideas or agribusiness ideas or food product ideas. So this is a very perfect time to be part of this market, the African market, 1.2 billion people, as well as Tanzanian market, plus 55 million people. So that is like the general picture of what is happening. But also the adoption of mobile phone in Tanzania is more than 85% of people. That's mobile phone penetration capabilities. Like even people in extreme rural areas can be able to access 3G. Internet penetration is also really good. The universities across the country. So we are at that stage where everything is moving really fast, and it's just an issue of what you want to do with this market. So it's an exciting time to be here. Getting back to my personal journey, I'm a Dar es Salaam guy, a guy who was born and raised in Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam is the financial capital of Tanzania. I grew up in Dar es Salaam. I did my primary and secondary school in Dar es Salaam. And then I did my high school in Dar es Salaam. I went to, I did my first degree in India and in Bangalore. That's where I did my software engineering and electronics degree. I don't even know if I'm using it anymore.
Welcome to the club. I know.
That is at least what I did at school. And I majored into electronics and mathematics. I came back home around 2010 when things were like really quiet. Nothing in terms of like tech was happening. If you compare to the likes of Nairobi and Lagos by then. But there were signs that the ecosystem is coming up together. So I went and got employed on a project which was looking at starting innovation hubs and business incubators and accelerators in Tanzania. I had a chance to be one of the earliest people to work in the innovation ecosystem in Tanzania. to support startups and entrepreneurs on a project which was a very big project, a bilateral project between two countries, Tanzania and Finland. The rest is history. I worked for that project for a couple of years. When I was still working for that project, I had a chance to consult for some global organizations such as the World Bank, HIVOS, and some of the UN agencies around innovation and tech. In 2015, I decided to quit and start something of my own. I felt like I can do more for startups and entrepreneurs. And there was this like call, a push of, can I start my own program to support innovators and entrepreneurs? So we started with the marketplace, Sahara Sparks, and it was highly influenced by these entrepreneurial events that are happening across the world, like Slash, like Crunchbase in US, like Pivot East, Demo Africa. I was like, okay, we can do something back home in Tanzania.
Right.
That's how we came up with Sahara Sparks. With a very humble beginning, we had few investors, very few startups to showcase, but the rest is history. Right now, it's one of the biggest innovation and technology entrepreneurship events in Africa. Last year, we went virtual. We had more than 5,000 people following the events. We had investors from across the continent. We had more than 200 businesses applying to be part of the event. But that is how it started. And slowly we saw an opportunity to start our own accelerator so that we can prepare those businesses to be ready to meet with investors. And that's how we came up with our accelerator program. And also we saw another opportunity to consult around innovation and tech. That is how we came up with our consulting wing. So the rest is history. Everything that has been happening, if you connect the dots from the back, is basically we see opportunity and then we try to capitalize on it. And that's how we build this business.
That's absolutely amazing journey. And I love to hear it every time. I think it's just absolutely amazing. So what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to start a business venture in Tanzania right now? Because I do feel like there are so many opportunities. You know, I was there in 2009 and for the first time, and the difference between 2009 and now 2021 is just astronomical, right? I mean, it's just so much different than where the country was. And it's amazing to see, and it's amazing to be a part of this process. But I know a lot of times when people are first starting, you know, it can be overwhelming, and it's kind of, you don't know where to start because, you know, it's still a developing country. So there's not really a clear path on what to do and how to do it. So what advice would you give to people who are looking to invest in Africa or looking to start a business in it's particularly Tanzania?
Yeah, so basically that's a very good question. It's like starting business in any other place. First of all, you need that energy, you need that push, you need that adrenaline. You need to believe on the idea or the business you want to try out. It has to be relevant. It has to address real problem. It has to meet the local context, and that aspect of desirability, consumer willingness to consume your product has to be there. So those like basic stuff that you need to build any successful business, they have to be there. That's number one. Number two, as you already said, this is like a developing economy. There's so many things that are not like, if I can, for lack of a better word, like in an ideal condition where everything is constant. There's a lot of fluctuation in these markets. First of all, you might struggle to get the right data and insights that kind of inform you about the market and the opportunity size you're looking into. In some places, depending on where you go, if you do stuff like at subnational level, maybe in rural or suburban areas, you might struggle to access the right talents and skills for your business. So that's one of the things you should consider, depending on the nature of your business. But also in some places, there's a lot of regulation and legal issues that might be of a challenge, especially if you're looking to raise external investment. You really have to understand how the investment dynamics works. what are the legal and regulatory frameworks that exist, and how do they favor on your side. And another thing is also you really need to find a way to capitalize in local talents. People who understand the local markets, who understand the local dynamics, who understand the local language, who understand the politics, because there's a lot of things. It's basically something our colleagues from Asia have been able to master so well. My friends, the Chinese and the Indians, are getting able to blend in, getting to find a way to put themselves in a situation where they really understand what is happening. They start the systems, they start the processes, they study the people, and then they capitalize on opportunity just like that. So basically, you just need to know more about the market, about the people, so that you can be able to push and sell or invest in a promising product.
Yes, I agree. I mean, one thing I always say is, what problem are you solving? So when you're thinking of starting a business, successful businesses solve a problem. So when you're looking at the research, people have great ideas all the time. There's always people coming up with innovations, with ideas. But the key is going to be, are you solving a problem? Do you have the solution to the problem that there is in the market? Or what is lacking in the market that you can provide, that someone with $1 and someone with $1,000 will still want to buy your product? And there's something, of course, you can go into a specialized niche, and you can go into your own little area in that industry where only maybe a certain demographic can buy it. But you want to be appealing to a broad audience. And you want to make sure that whatever you're providing to the community is something that, is going to be fixing a problem that exists. So I completely agree. That's something to look at. And I know one thing that's different about being on the continent of Africa is truly understanding the local population, the culture, understanding how business is done, because it's often very, very different than the rest of the world. And I always tell people, different does not mean bad. Different just means you need to learn. And I agree. Our Asian counterparts, they're very good at coming in, and they quickly understand how to maneuver in the area that they're in. And I think that's something that is a huge asset. And that's an asset for any entrepreneur, no matter where you go in the world. If you go to Asia, you need to understand how they operate and do business. And the quicker you understand that, the better your business will be. Because you won't have as many challenges. You won't be fighting an uphill battle as much. So I completely agree. And Tanzania is huge. It's a huge, most people I don't think understand geographically how big Tanzania is. It's a huge country, and I don't think people understand that, it's almost 60 million people. So you can literally be in like Moshi and have, one set of like ideals and the way things are done, and then go to Dar es Salaam is completely different. And then hop over to them in Mwanza, and it's totally different. Tanzania is huge. I think people always think Dar or Arusha, right? Yes.
To understand how big it is, Tanzania is equal to all the East African countries put together.
Yes, correct. Yes, it is. It is. And people don't understand that. They don't understand that it is a huge country, although Dar es Salaam is still the business capital, to really get business done efficiently, I always say you really need to be in Dar es Salaam, especially starting out. I think you should start in Dar es Salaam and maybe branch out from there. Depending on what you're doing. I guess if you're doing agriculture, you might need to go somewhere else. But, and Dar is a big city. So it's, people don't understand that when they get there. I mean, it takes 10 hours from Dar to Arusha to get there. Yeah.
If you're using a bus, it will take you 10 plus hours.
Yes.
10 plus hours.
Yeah.
And another thing which is extremely cool about this place, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities in all the sectors. We are known for so many stuffs around tourism. This is the home of Zanzibar. This is the home of Kilimanjaro. It's the home for Serengeti. It's a home for Ngorongoro Crater. It's a home of Mafia Island. All these beautiful places that are very well in Tanzania, and there's a lot of opportunity to invest. I think it's one of the places where still you can get a house just across the ocean, very close to the ocean at a very fair price. It's a very lucrative place to come in. Our oil and gas industry is already starting to boom. We're seeing pipelines being built to connect Tanzania to other part of East Africa. Our mineral industry is also booming. The ICT sector, Tanzania is one of the few countries in Africa which have more than 9 telecom operators operating in the same country. So it's really that place you want to come and invest in. And another thing is also talent. As I already told you, we have a very young population. So if you're coming up with a business or a product, you are sure you are guaranteed consumers for the next 20 years, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So it's a very exciting place to be in. But another thing which I think I also need to communicate because of this narrative of what are the size of businesses. So we're talking about like really big business. I think you remember the story I told you about Andrew Mendes, a young Tanzanian who went all the way up to university through University of Dar es Salaam. He was able to exit through Copagas with 25 million USD plus investment. So you have those talents, and there are opportunities here. Copagas was just addressing, coming back to the word which you're saying, you need to find a problem to address. Copagas was just addressing one problem. How can you make people consume energy in a more safe, healthier way? And just through that innovation, he's kind of a millionaire right now, doing multiple investment himself. So we are seeing more of this happening. We'll be seeing more investment in the renewable energy, in the circular economy, and I'm very excited about the future, and I'm very optimistic about the future.
I am too. I think it's going to be, I always say, to me, Dar es Salaam has the potential to be the next Singapore. You know, people, if they know the history of Singapore and where they were, 10, 15 years ago, they were about where Tanzania is positioned right now. So the possibilities are just endless. I always think people need to also look at when you're coming to Tanzania, like you mentioned, also just looking at the opportunities to just invest in other businesses that have huge potential to go somewhere. Because one big challenge for some people is capital and trying to come up with the money to be able to get their businesses off the ground. So there's a lot of young people as well that have some really good potential and some solid business plans. They just need some backing. So that's something else, to really look at. And I know your company helps with that as well. And being, I always look at your company as kind of being like the connector, where you have the talent, and then you have the people who can provide support for the talent. And I look at your company as being like that middleman and being the connector. Would you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, and actually that's our mission statement, to build the ecosystem. So basically that's what we mean, like bring all these component of the ecosystem together so that the magic can happen. You bring in the investors, bringing the startup, bringing the experts, bringing the support structure, whether through the government or development partners. So how do you bring all these people into the equation so that you can build the next million business? That's our mission.
I love it. So tell our audience, so if someone was coming from out of the country and they wanted to, get in touch with your company as far as business opportunities, could you give a shout out to your contact information, your website, and any social media or anything you want to add so that they have that as well? I'm going to put it down in the description box just so you guys know you will have this information, so don't worry. I'll have that down, but I'm going to give you a minute to give that information out as well.
No, brilliant. So first of all, it's our website, www.sahara, like Sahara Desert, www.saharaventures.com. That is our website. You can email us at contact@Sahara Ventures. You can email me directly. They'll go to my PA, CEO@saharaventures.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Futurist, like Africa, and then Futurist. And I'm happy to respond to any of your tweets or comments. But also we have a very popular YouTube channel, Sahara Ventures on YouTube, and Sahara Sparks on YouTube, where you can see all the previous events and businesses pitching to investors. So all those are multiple channels. You can be able to access us on Facebook, on our LinkedIn official pages. But most importantly, just go to our site and get the email from there and email us, and we'll definitely get back to you within a short time.
So you heard it here. This is the CEO of Sahara Ventures. So make sure you understand that you are having a personal connection with, that you can reach out to on his website. He's giving you all his contact information. So if you're looking for something in this area specifically, make sure you contact him and just support his YouTube channel, support his social media. And I just encourage everyone to go to his website and check it out. There's a lot of amazing things on there, a lot of great information. I love the website. I think it's wonderful. But let's segue into one of my other favorite things that I am so excited to hear about and talk about. And I'm doing this a little prematurely, just so you know, this is a little early, so we still have a little bit of time. But you mentioned it briefly, so I want to go into it a little bit, is the Sahara conference that you had. Can we talk about that? And first, I want to mention, this is the biggest conference in East Africa. Am I correct?
East and Central Africa, right now.
Oh, East and Central Africa. Okay. Sorry. I don't want to leave that out. So East and Central Africa. This is, okay, so let's explain this a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, so as I told you, like Sahara Sparks is divided in two parts. So we have the event, which primarily just focuses on discussions, topics that are related to innovation, tech, and entrepreneurship. And here you have like decision makers, you have researchers, you have academicians, you have investors, entrepreneurs, talking about policies, regulations, opportunities, trends, whether it's Industry 4.0, whether it's digital economy, whether it's futuristic stuff about Africa. So all of those conversations are happening in this side. And the other side is the marketplace. The marketplace is purely for transactions. It's where we bring together some of the most outstanding businesses in Africa from across the continent to meet with some of the most outstanding investors from across the African continent. So you can choose if you're an investor and you primarily just look to do investment and you're looking for startup, you can register for the marketplace. We haven't yet opened the registration. And if you're just coming in to listen to topics, or if you're a good speaker, you want to offer a keynote or something like that, or you want to partner to do a side event, you can go to the other side, which is purely the conference side. So those are the two parts of Sahara Sparks, and that's how we organize it.
Wow. Okay. So that is
just one more thing. So
yes,
we also do what we call regional Sparks, and these are like the smaller version of the event that are happening in big African cities. So we have done like something like this in Nairobi, in Lagos, in Lilongwe, in Kampala. So we do like a lighter version of this event, and then entrepreneurs from those cities, they will come. But right now we do mostly virtual pitches because of travel restrictions.
Okay, so make sure you guys check that out as well. We just briefly touched on that today because I was telling him I want to have a whole segment on Sahara Sparks, a whole episode, because it encompasses so much and there's so much to talk about in regards to details about this that I feel like it deserves its own episode because it's just very exciting. And the fact that it's the biggest conference that in East and Central Africa that a Tanzanian is running just makes me so proud. So I want to make sure it gets its own hour of love so that we can talk about that. When do you think the next one will be? I know we have some challenges right now with the global pandemic, but when do you think you might possibly have the next one?
So it's usually around September, October, but the build-up events in other cities start around July or August so that we all can join the main event. So if everything will remain stable with the second wave, possibly we continue to have them on the exact date around September, October, and we will soon release the exact dates on our website.
Okay. And can they purchase tickets on the website as well?
Yeah, they can purchase tickets on the website via mobile money, via credit card. So we usually use like a third party another African startup to help us sell the ticket digitally. So we also open up for international guests to apply whether to attend physically or to join the event virtually.
Oh, wow. So that's a good point. So you can join virtually or physically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then as usual, you're using a startup to help with this. So no matter what you do, you're always trying to give back and help another business, which is amazing.
Definitely. That's our mission. So like everything we do, whether it's selling tickets, whether it's events, t-shirts, whether it's promotion and campaign, whether it's a PA system during the event, like everything goes to a startup, a local startup, because we really want to promote local businesses.
Yes, I agree. We have the same mission. So let me ask you, what do you think, in your personal opinion, are some of the biggest business trends you're seeing right now in Tanzania?
Oh, great. So that's like on my face. But because of the increase in population, especially in urban area, the food business is booming. Anyone who is doing value addition in the food business, that'll be a game changer. Because the population is just going up.
Yes.
And this is like for nutritious food, because the middle class is becoming very sensitive with NCDs, with non-communicable diseases like high blood pressure and everything. So people are looking for nutritious food. That's one area. Another area, of course, is renewable energy. As more the middle class is increasing, especially in suburban and rural area, people are looking more and more to access energy. Excuse me. So if you're into solar or green energy, it's another opportunity. Another booming business is tourism. Surprisingly, this is not a good example, but it's an opportunity. So a lot of people are running away in Europe and US because of COVID. They're looking for a place where they can go is outside the lockdown. So the tourism business is also like really booming. The hotel industry is growing really fast. The other area, of course, the same sector around the service economy. If you're into service economy and you're looking to serve middle to higher class, like high-end restaurant or franchise restaurants, is another opportunity, especially in urban Africa, including Dar es Salaam. So those are some of the areas that we see a lot of business opportunities for investors. And in the technology sector, it's primarily nothing can compete with fintech. So a lot of fintech startups are already in Africa, but if you can really find one area they haven't addressed and come up with a very good business model or good idea, then you can also be the next billionaire.
Oh, well, that's appealing to anyone. So let's switch over now to what do you think are some of the challenges? I know, for example, I always tell people the initial challenges, especially if you're a foreigner, is going to be the culture and the language. You know, that's one thing you definitely have to take time to make sure you understand. The second thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is patience. A lot of new entrepreneurs don't understand just exactly how much hard work and patience it takes for a business to actually not only start operating, but to start profiting. I mean, that can be a very long process, and it requires a lot of perseverance, a lot of, commitment, and a lot of patience to just kind of keep plugging along until, you get to a point that you have an operational business. So outside of that, what do you think are some of the challenges that people maybe don't think about when thinking about, investing in a business or even just being a business owner that is, I would say, specific to the continent of Africa and Tanzania?
Yeah, so you say the large part of it, you said it already. It's not a short sprint, it's a marathon. It requires a lot of discipline and commitment. You might fall down, you need to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and then continue to run again. So it's a journey that anybody in any place in the world goes through to become an entrepreneur. So don't expect, because of these opportunities, you can just land in 2 weeks and then you're a millionaire and then you run away with your cash. It's not a gold mine, and even
don't expect to land and then 2 weeks later you got a business up and running, right?
yeah, definitely. You really need to put in some extra push-ups. You need to really push to be able to realize your business model, figure out your market. So that is one thing. Some other things, of course, depending on which country you're coming in. Africa is very different. I really like the way you say they're even different between Dar es Salaam and Arusha, even though they're in the same country. So you have to understand those dynamics. Don't assume every place you go will be like Kigali in Rwanda, like Queen, everything very transparent and all that. You'll have to go through some processes and some pains, and they are all part of the lessons you will learn. And it's very important to spend good amount of time to do your own research. Don't just throw in money in different sectors or out of courtesy or saying, wow, this is just good, let me do proper due diligence, do your own research, get to know the sectors, assess the risk, spend good amount of time to understand what you're getting yourself into. It's extremely important. And of course, accept failures. They will come. You might you might get a knock on the face. So you just need to be prepared, and it's pretty much okay. If you're in my business, if you're in a business of becoming an entrepreneur, it's pretty much okay to fail. You just need to fail fast, fail cheap, and learn after every failure. So test the water first before putting your whole body into it. So that would be my advice. And the other stuff is all this like social dynamic stuff, the political stuff that are happening. You just need to be very careful not to get yourself involved in like local politics or religious differences and things like that. They never turn out well.
No.
So if you're coming to do business, try to focus on your business, work on your business model. We have people in Africa, we call them tenderpreneurs. They're very good in bidding for tenders and lobbying for government tenders. They are there, and if you come here to work with them, again, you have to be super careful because they're connected. They can do anything to you, and you cannot do anything to them. So those are some of the issues you really need to consider. I would rather say get a legit business, a legit market, find a legit partner, and a legit problem to solve, then potentially can build a good, successful business, not only in Tanzania, but across the continent. There's a lot of opportunity, and we really welcome people who are ready to invest and do business with us. We encourage more transaction than aid in Africa, right?
Yes. That's absolutely true. And I mean, it goes to what I try to tell people, you have to really understand your position in the country. When you come to a country where you are not a citizen or you were not born and raised there, because you are in fact a foreigner. And as a foreigner, that means you can come with a lot of ideas and innovations and, sometimes capital, and all that is great. But you're not going to be successful if you don't understand that you are still a foreigner, and you have to deal with a population of people that is their country. And while they are welcoming, you need to make sure you're positioning yourself in a situation that where they're extending welcome to you. You're also being able to meet them where they are and accept that you need to learn. You're in a position of learning, not in a position of always teaching. Because I think sometimes foreigners come and they come from a position of, I'm going to teach these people how to do it the right way, right? And I mean, that's great, but there's a way in which to do it. And you have to understand that you are in a position that you need to be learning a lot as well. Because I think there's a misconception that across the continent of Africa, especially Tanzania is unique because people, I think, don't realize that, Kenya is more of the English-speaking country, not really Tanzania. English is still not widely spoken in Tanzania. So I think people misunderstand when they come to a country like Tanzania that they see so many opportunities. They think, oh, I'm going to change, the way this is done. I'm going to come in and tell these people how to do it right. And they, I think, often miss that there's a lot of talent in Tanzania doing it right. You may not see it right away, But there's very successful people there that know what they're doing. They know who they are. They're well connected. And is not as in your face as it is in the West, where you can walk into a room here and in America and you can kind of pick out who might be the CEO, who might be the vice president. That's not as obvious in Tanzania or in the continent. So it's still in Tanzania in particular. Let me just say, they're not quite as flashy. So you never know who you're speaking to, and if you upset the wrong person, there goes your business.
It seems like you really understand this. There's this notion of when I go to Africa, like people don't know anything, so I need to lecture them. And instead of forming partnership, you start to lecture people. But believe me, people have been doing business in this continent, in these countries. They know the market. They've been making profit. They know the processes. They know their ways. And the best way you can do is to make sure you're mutually learning from each other. You might have like strategies and plans to scale, how to penetrate a new market, how to meet regional and global investors, but they understand the local context. They understand the consumers. They understand what they consume. They understand the product. They understand the service. And I've seen companies that have co-founders like a foreigner and a local co-founder. The one which have been able to succeed are the ones that have been able to rely on each other, to learn from each other, and to capitalize from each other's resources and opportunity. If you're partnering with Jumanne and Jumanne understand about the local ecosystem and what works, what doesn't, and then you respect that. And if Jumanne is partnering with Ebony and Ebony knows better about where to get investment, how to link to international investors, and you respect that, then you'll be able to work together. But so many startups have clashed because of what you just said. Someone coming in and thinking like, I know everything, you don't know about this, I've done this before, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. So I think this is a very, very valid lesson today, especially for people who are coming to invest and work in Africa and partner with talents and African founders. This is a very, very important lesson. Just know they've been doing it. They've been doing it and they're surviving.
Yes, they have been doing it. And I think a big part of that is just the initial, when you land in Africa, one of the things that's so different than the West is the infrastructure, right? So when you first land, immediately from the airport, you're seeing all these things that like, oh, they could just fix this or they could just do this because, like the sewage system is different, the roads are different, the housing is different, in Tanzania and Dar, you don't see street signs. So the organization, it looks very disorganized compared to what our eye is used to seeing. But what people don't understand.
Can I make a joke?
Yes,
so,
yes.
We don't have street sign and someone is making money doing delivery business. Now just try to understand, how does that guy do delivery when there are no street signs?
Correct. And that's our point of, you have to understand people have been doing it there and doing it well for centuries, right? So just because you live where there's street signs and you're in a country where there's not, don't think people don't know how to do it, because they do. So it's just, Africa, in my opinion, has the most innovative people on the face of the earth, because despite the adversity that some Africans have to go through on their day-to-day life and the challenges that they have that maybe people in the West don't have, they have found a way around it, right? So you're dealing with people who are already naturally innovators. So to come in and think that, well, because I have street signs in the US or in Canada or in Europe or whatever, and you don't, I'm going to now teach you how to do that. That's more of a government issue. That's not really an entrepreneurial issue. That's something that the government needs to take care of. So you have to change your whole mindset. And I always say it goes back to like teaching an old dog new tricks, right? You have to realize that you're an old dog, right? And you got to learn new tricks. And it's going to be a process and it's very uncomfortable, but you can't come in right away and just say, my way is the right way. I think what you can do is say, okay, well, I have certain strategies that have been proven to work. And then ask your partner, will this work in Tanzania or in Africa, or will it not? Because it may not work. They can say, oh, well, our local people won't respond to that. Or another thing is, these people know who to work with and who not to work with. And that's very important because the vetting system in Tanzania, or I would say in the continent in general, is much different than it is here in the West, where you can just run a background check and this person is okay, or a credit check, or you can't really do that in Tanzania. So you have to know the right people. Getting to know the right people is a process that can take while, because people have to trust you, they have to respect you, they have to know you're not coming to tell them bossing around. Because I always say, my running joke is Tanzania is the land of yes, right? People are very polite. They will tell you yes to anything. They will say, oh, yes, sure. And then you will never see them again in life. Because if you make them angry, they may not argue with you, but they'll just disappear. They'll dismiss you. They'll write you off. They'll say, oh, okay, sure. Now we know you. They're not. It's different than West Africa, where they might be a little bit more, combative. They'll be a little bit more. They'll argue with you a little bit more, and a little bit more transparent. I always say Tanzanians are not real transparent. They'll just.
I totally agree with you. I think you are more Tanzanian than me.
Well, I have been in the culture for, over 2 decades now, and we're there a lot. And I think the one thing that's unique about our family is my husband is the only person, his entire family's there. So when I come, I'm not coming as like a foreigner. I'm with the locals. I'm at BB's house. When I'm there, I'm at BB's house the whole time. So I'm with all the locals, and I've been mixing within the culture for a long time.
Oh my God. No, so this is very powerful, and believe me, these are like the small things we take for granted, but they're really powerful. I had some Japanese clients in my consulting wing. They are one of my biggest client in 2017, and I went to Japan to close a deal. I had 2 to 3 days to stay in a hotel, like a very limited budget. For a startup company, you're kind of bootstrapping. And it took us 2 weeks, just to get a yes. I had to visit the families. We had to do like a lot of stuff. And my friend who studied in Harvard is an Asian living in US, working in Japan. It was like, so this is a process. If you just paid for 3 days for hotel, you're not going to get this deal. It has to be 14 to 21 days.
Yes.
They need to trust you. They need to get to know you.
Yeah.
So these are the dynamics, and they're very complex dynamics, but they're necessary if you're looking to do business in a new place where people have their own cultures, they have their own values. You talk about the Tanzanian yes, which is a very complicated yes.
Yes.
Someone tell you yes. Is it a yes? Yes. Is it yes? Like, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Is it a no? Which is a very powerful aspect of doing business in Tanzania, just to know whether this person really means yes. But another important thing is very also important for our community that we are kind of talk to right now, to not take it wrong, like we're trying to say it's all perfect in Africa and the problem is just on one side. There's a lot of problem also in our side. There's issues, like serious issues, keeping time and stuff like that. But not everyone is not keeping time. Don't come with that pre-assumption. It's not a very good assumption.
Right.
People are busy. They have a lot on their plates. If you miss 1 or 2 Skype calls we agreed to meet, I'll never pick the third one. Right. So it's really, really important to have those things. But again, also try to be a bit flexible. Try to adjust yourself to fit in. Don't be like, no, I said like 9:05, 9:05. So, okay, it's Tanzania, for God's sake. 9:05 can be 9 or anything.
Have you ever been in dark traffic? You better have a computer in your car. Have you ever been in traffic in dark? Like, good luck with that.
So those kind of stuff. I remember when I was in India, I was waiting for my certificate so that I can get a chance to register myself for my undergrad. And the guy kept on telling me he's just on the corner for 6 hours. 6 good hours. I'm just around the corner. I'm coming. I'm just around the corner. Yeah, so it happens, and you just need to find a way to make it work. But it's exciting, and it leads you with the story.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, you know, it's not the land. There's no sense of urgency in general as like the overall culture, right? The overall culture is there's no sense of urgency. But some of that goes back to, like you were saying, in the Asian culture where they want to get to know you. The no sense of urgency is because it's a communal culture. You know, they really want to get to know who you are as a person. They want to spend time with you. They want to spend quality time. And that, you know, oftentimes spills into the business world where the West, we're very good at separating business and personal, right? And business and personal really mixes in Africa. So that can be very hard for people that are not from there to navigate because people truly want to get to spend time and they tend to run behind. But, you know, as a business owner in Tanzania, I can say you can find people that have that sense of urgency. You know, we were able over a process of time to find employees, to find staff that do have that sense of urgency, that are on time, you know, that do respect the fact that we have to be available for our clients by a certain time. So it's a process, but you have to understand the culture. You know, one of our business partners, he's like you were talking about your Japanese friends. He likes to know anyone that's working with us. He wants to know their family. He wants to know, you know, their siblings. He wants to know the whole thing. And I just laugh. I'm like, you know, that's illegal in America. And I just crack me up. He does it every time. And every time I just giggle. And I'm just like, oh, this is so interesting to me because I could never get away with that in America. So it's you know, but it's a process of getting to know this person is going to be trustworthy and that they're going to be a good employee. So that's something to keep in mind, is the culture, and not being so critical of it, and understanding that you know, things in the West move very, very, very fast. And that's not necessarily the case when you're dealing with the continent. And it doesn't mean, I say this over and over again, bad, I mean, different is not bad. It's just different. You know, when you go, like you said, I've been to China. When I went to China, it was very obvious to me, you know, there was a certain way to maneuver culturally in China. So no matter where you go, that country is going to have ways, and you need to, ultimately, it is imperative that you respect it and you don't come in, you know, with these Western ways that, like I say, you know, even when I go home, I do feel like I really can mix with Tanzanians, but I'm always going to be American. You know, I'm still going to have my American ways, but the difference is I respect the culture and I understand the culture. So, you know, it's not as hard for me to maneuver as it would be for someone else. So that's a fair point. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad we brought it up. I'm excited about all the things that Tanzania and Dar es Salaam has to offer. I'm excited for your business and how much it's grown. So how long have you been doing this now?
So we are moving to our 7th year. Legally, we've been registered for 6 years as a business.
That's amazing. So you made it past the 5-year mark. I always tell people, if you make it past most businesses, the statistics show that if you are going to fail in business, it's going to be within the first year to the first 1 to 5 years is where, you know, the failure rate kind of comes in. So if you make it past 5, you are good. So that is absolutely amazing. That's something to celebrate. And then you said we have upcoming Sahara Spots. Possibly we're looking at September, October. Hopefully, we hope things, you know, work out and that happens. We will come back for episode 2 to talk just about Sahara Spots, because that's one that is near and dear to my heart. I love everything about it. I just want to really talk about how that came about, everything that it has to offer. I think it's just an amazing, amazing opportunity for business investors and entrepreneurs. I mean, to mesh the two together is just, that's amazing. But for today, talking about Sahara Ventures, you know, I want to thank you for that and make sure that everyone checks out Sahara Ventures. You can go ahead and look at Sahara Spots so you're educated on for next time, but right now focus on Sahara Ventures so you can look at everything that he has to offer, all the help for business investors, the help for people who are looking to get into the business world. Like I said, his business is a connector. So if you're looking for someone who is a successful connector, who knows what he's doing, who knows a culture, who knows a country, who is an accomplished CEO, then this is where you go to talk to him. I always like to brag on my Tanzanians because Tanzanians are very humble, and I'm not, so I'm going to brag on them. So I think this is absolutely amazing. So anything else, any last words you want to add or words of advice to our community?
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting time to come to Africa. It's exciting time to come to my home country, Tanzania. We are welcoming you. We are really looking for investment and business partners. And there's a lot of energy and vibrance among the Tanzanian community, especially youth. So come, and we'll be ready to work with you guys and partner together to build multi-million businesses that will go all over Africa and even to the rest of the world.
Yes, that is amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode 3 of Excellence with Ebony. All of his information, as I said, will be in the description box. So don't worry if you didn't hear it. I also will put it across the screen here for you guys to see. So you can find a way to connect with Jumanne Mtambalike, and you will have all his information at the bottom. So you heard it here at episode 3 of Excellence with Ebony. Thank you so much for joining, you guys. And don't forget to tune in for episode 2. He will be back to talk about his Sahara Sparks conference. Bye, guys.
Bye.